Jack has had several questions about Passap color changers lately, so this is a 2-video series in which he's going to take one apart for you and put it back together. Because that's what it takes, either to deep clean it or to replace a broken eyelet holder. The eyelet holders are all alike, so you can buy 2 junk color changers and perhaps get one working one. Jack recommends using a magnetic tray like this one to keep your parts from getting lost. It is very difficult to get in a position with the camera where you can see what's going on. So what we're doing is going through the replacement of an eyelet holder 3 times with the camera in 3 different places. Each operation is the same as the others. So if you don't feel you understand what Jack is pointing to or indicating the first time, stay tuned. We're trying to get it from another angle the next time and the next.
We have the first one back in, and I'm going to work with it like this to show you what we're doing. And I will move this rod back and put the next one in. But I have to show you, let me see if I can get the camera positioned. There's the base of a spring right there. Can the camera see that?
Uh-huh.
Here's the base of the other spring right here. One spring goes right there where I've put the tip of the screwdriver. The other spring goes right there where I put the tip of the screwdriver. So let me show you individually how that works. Here's the first thing that goes on. You've got to get the base of the spring in its spot. This part of the spring has to go here. Let me see if I can turn it. It has to go right there. So you got to get the spring where you can put it over there. You see it sticking through. Then I'm going to pretend the rod here. Get the rod in. Then you're going to need to position this piece there. Can you see that? The foot of the piece is going on the post of this block. I'll show you with another block. There's the post right there. So the foot of this piece is going to go right there on that post with the spring right there. So that's the position for that piece when you put it back. And you have to insert the spring end, then move this over at an angle and put it on its position. So there it is in the right position. This guy is just as hard to work with. There's the spring, and it's got its spacer washer combination that goes right in there like that. So this one, when they're assembled, you can see the mark right there goes right against it. Now, this end of the spring has to go right there. You can see where I've put the tip of the screwdriver. There's the base of this spring. The other end of the spring hooks behind that rod. All right, we're going to back this rod out. First of all, we're going to take this one off. All right, that stays out till we get done. I'm going to dummy these off so we have all the room in the world to work with. Now, I will back the rod out far enough to put the next one on. And they're completely interchangeable, so the ones that I've swapped around, it isn't going to make any difference.
But the good news is for those who can find 2 color changers, they can repair their favorite of them with units from the other.
Right. There you go. Now, it's barely started in there.
The rod?
Yes. Can you see? Barely started in there. Now, let's play with one of these guys. You have to bend the spring with your fingertip and then hold it. in place with your thumb, because it's got to go right in there. Did you see that? Now the base of the spring is in position. And you got to hold it in there. Start the rod in. There we go.
The second rod sits out this entire process.
Yes, got it in, but this is in the wrong position. This one's right. This one's wrong. There's the piece it's supposed to sit on. With the rod in place, slide it over just enough to lift it up and put it back. You know that this part of the spring is going to hook under the rod. So that's the orientation of our spacing washer. Now here comes the tough part. This part of the spring has to go right there. So here we are going down through there. We've retracted the rod just enough to get this in, but you got to make sure that you guide the spring base right there. Now push your rod in, and it's a kind of a wiggle situation. Now this has to come around. All right, this is tough. You gotta have to use hemostats, because this end of the spring has to go behind this rod on the inside. It'll flex, but you have to get in a situation where hands just aren't going to do it. So here I am, locking it in, force it around, put it under the bar, turn it loose. I will tell you, this works really well, but the fourth one, the last one, really takes quite a bit of work because of getting that spring around through there, and you have a limited amount of room. So let's do one more. Again, let me point out that this piece pivots on its little circlip. You can see how well that does, but it has to be in this position to go down and then move that over to hook right behind there. So here we go. Down goes the piece, and this, dip it so that that goes under its lock. You heard it snap into place. So now that'll stay there. Wiggle your rod in. Pull it back till this is flush. We're going to start with this guy. And we know that the base of the spring has to go under the front. Doing this so that you can see and I don't have to see is the tough part.
However, let's not mislead people. This is not an easy operation.
No, this is not.
This is for people who have some substantial mechanical skills already.
Can make their hands do what they want them to. I've got to turn this so I can manhandle it. There you go. Did you see how easily that went when I got it where I can see?
At the right angle, it slides on in, doesn't it?
End of the spring is right there on the face of the bobbin holder. So we're in shape there. Once again, we know this hook has to go behind the bar. So we're going to start with this spacer, but we've got to go in this way to get that in the right position. We're in position. I'm holding it. Let's rotate the rod and push a little bit. And there we are. Now the hard part. This has to come around and hook under the bar. And
the wire part of the spring.
Right. And here's how we do it. Let me get it in the hemostats. Hemostats work real well because fingers are too large. And there it is. It's hooked. You can see right there. Now it's in place. And we back this up to do the last one. I'm going to put this last one in off camera simply because there is no way for me to get all 6 fingers down in here like this and you be able to see anything. I put this rod in. You see, I've gotten the 4th one in there. But look, our spring is not where it should be. This is what I was telling you. So I've put this rod in where they won't go flying all over the place. And I've released them. That one did not release, but here's the thing. I can now get room to get in there. I'll do it off camera, but you push it down like that, you get a tool such as this, where you can push that back behind the rod where it's supposed to go. We're all assembled. We've got the little springs in the T of their mounts. When these come forward, they drop down. You have to reset them by pulling this. This bar has to be in, and I still have these dummied off like we were selecting them to load so that they're not in the action of pushing on these. So now what we want to do is put the color changer back on its base, or the extension on one side, but it's the base of the color changer on the other side. All right, what we're going to do is put the color changer back on the extension. Now, this post and this post go in this slot and this slot like that. Here's the problem. You've got a hole right there and another slot right there. This little black post needs to go in this hole, and this rectangular braided piece, where I'm cleaning a little bit, needs to go in this slot right there. So we can actually get the slot lined up nicely, but notice, see, the black post, it needs to go right over there. So if we make sure that we're flat here, lift it just a little bit and keep sliding it over till there it is. Now, here's the trick. See, we're still up right there. You can see that the rectangular piece is not in the slot. If I hold this down and put a little bit of pressure in the back, there we go. We just pushed it into place. Now what you got to do is keep fingers putting pressure this way from the top. Then this little spacer goes on that post. And you got to make sure it goes down far enough to let the circlip around it. And in order to not lose what we're doing, I'm going to mount this circlip. We got a little bit of wiggle room now to get this other spacer in there. There we go. Now we're ready for the next circlip. The next thing we want to do is to put the cover back on, but first, this is the little support foot that goes just like that. So we took it off once the cover was off, but we got to remember to put it back on.
Yeah, it doesn't actually have anything but the cover holding it, does it?
That's it. It pivots right there. Wiggle, wiggle, it's right in place. We put our screw in, and one of the screws was missing on this particular color changer. So what I'll do when Catherine goes to use it is I'll match up this screw and put another one in that hole right there.